They should be able to run the company without you. Otherwise, you're not really doing a great job. No one here is a specialist at something. You could be packing boxes, and you could be going in delivering food. You could be doing any number of jobs. Big thing on that was actually educating our staff on how the business runs financially, not just process-wise, but financially also.
Welcome to the CEO DNA podcast, and here it's all about enable entrepreneurs to become even better. And today I have somebody who started a company with 0 employees, nowadays has almost 100 employees, and this company is called FittMeals. You can order meal plans, but we will talk about it. Welcome, Eoin Cantwell.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
So what is a good DNA of a CEO?
For me, that was something I actually really had to look at, especially in the last 6 to 12 months, because as our company just got to nearly 100 staff,
right,
have to kind of figure out what is a CEO? What does a CEO do? It's very easy to give yourself a title. So a good thing, I suppose, we saw I met you in Cambridge at that Scaling Up conference, was the 4 jobs of a CEO. And the first one is the strategy, to build out the strategy. So for me, every quarter, we build out the strategy for the next quarter, let's say. We have quarterly meetings, and our marketing, our sales, our financial plans is all driven from ground up. I take all the data. And we try and emphasize that it's all staffed together on this and set our priorities, our 4 main priorities for the next quarter, let's say. So that DNA for me is connection.
So really, given a vision?
Vision, absolutely.
All right.
Given a
strategy.
Connection. Also building a really strong team, building your A players, getting them together and them knowing what they need to do.
How do you do that?
So clarity. So big thing we do at the moment is our job scorecards. So we outline exactly what your accountabilities are, your roles are. A big part of that is the core values of the company, how you live them, how you breathe them, how you action them, execute them. So that all of our staff, every staff member, from someone who walks in from the door, who's up in, our chief operating officer, everyone has a job scorecard, including myself. And every quarter we have a look at that and make sure that what we're doing is effective, it's efficient, it aligns with our annual goals, with our quarterly goals, and just ensures that we have the best team possible. And also it highlights gaps. It highlights gaps where we need people, where we need to get a bit more expertise in certain situations and that.
Right. Very interesting. So basically, you started the company in January 2020.
January 2020.
Now you have almost 100 employees. What a journey. Let's start a little bit from the beginning.
Yep.
So basically, you are in finance, you are in sport industry, you are... what else did you do before?
Yeah, perfect. So I would have started off in the financial insurance kind of a game, very corporate, let's say, but it gave me a good understanding of finance, and it's something I am quite strong in, I hope. And then I was general manager of Sharjah Wonder Sports Club, so that gave me a really strong understanding on running a business, managing staff, trying to deal with limited resources, trying to make the most out of everything we have, let's say. So I had a really good financial and kind of managerial background, and obviously that was a sports club, so I was big into my health, big into my sports. If you want to be healthy, you want to be a good sports person, you need to eat well. So that's where FittMeals kind of was born out of it. Trying to get good nutrition, healthy nutrition, but also nutrition that you're looking forward to, nutrition that you're in control of.
Okay, so what pushed you now to come from your more or less stable environment as an employee to say, look, I will be an entrepreneur? Was it the idea that says, wow, the idea is really, really great, I need to do it? Or was it, look, I want to be an entrepreneur?
A bit of both, not to be sitting on the fence. I've always wanted to maybe run my own business. And, to be fair, in Sharjah, I was let run the business. And I really enjoyed it. I loved the challenge of it, the ambition.
Nice.
Having that. But for me, I wanted to do something on my own and try and get there. So, entrepreneurship should be big in my family as well. My mother had her own business and things like that. So I saw it from the start. Then the other side, I hate inefficiencies and things that can be done better. I think every entrepreneur starts because they think they can do something better or more efficient than the rest. Don't be wrong. Some unbelievable meal prep companies out there, but I thought we could offer something that was different. And the big thing we could offer that other meal prep companies weren't offering at the time was a menu that you select before you sign up. So no meal prep company in the UAE at the time was offering that. And I thought that was crazy. Every time I wanted to sign up to a meal prep company, I didn't know what I was getting until I paid my money, and then we get sent out a menu. For me, I was like, I don't want that. I don't need that.
In a restaurant, you also go and first say, this is what I want to order.
Of course.
But explain us, what is Fit Meals exactly doing, and where's the USP?
So for us, at the moment, that was our USP, that you could really pick your meals. Now, to be fair, a lot of meal prep companies, you pick your meals before you start.
Yes.
So, we've that USP is kind of been diluted somewhat. Yes. For us, our big USP now is our quality, our service, our customer service, our delivery. We do everything in-house. The food comes out to us, and we've 20 delivery vans on the road. So making sure that the only people that touch the food are us and the customer. We have no third party involvement. And I think for us, that drives our standards. If you look at our Google reviews, we're the highest rated meal prep company in Dubai. We've nearly 400 or 500 reviews, let's say. So it's not just...
How many meals do you deliver?
We deliver well over to 1,500 customers a week, and that's growing. Growing hugely. Our biggest restraint on that is capacity, which we'll probably touch on later, and that's our next big move. That
to be able to scale it up, basically.
Be able to scale it up,
So basically, your company offers meal plans, and you can offer once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day. Completely outsource my nutrition to your company, basically.
Absolutely, and. For me, and I know I'll say this, but the amount of time spent on grocery shopping, on cooking, on cleaning, groceries in Dubai now and across the world, obviously in Ireland also, the price of grocery shopping is really, really tough now at the moment because of supply chains and different inflation and so on and so forth. So our big advantage for us, we can buy in bulk. We can buy in huge quantities and try and make savings there. So we often find a lot of our customers, by the time they actually tot up and add up the maths, it's, you're making a saving by getting all this done for you. You don't have to think about it. You get to choose your meals. A lot of us here, I think, Dubai has a kind of a kind of a party image or something, but people work hard here. People work very hard here, and especially...
I agree. And to underline that, I was very excited to talk to you because I know so many of my entrepreneur friends who start business, scale businesses, who use your service because it's so wonderful. I can really outsource it, and I know I take in my nutrition as I need it, and I would not be able to invest at this moment my time for shopping, for cooking, and so on. So when they come to the office or at home, they have a box. Can you show that? I know you brought something.
I have it here. So this is our...
Amazing.
This is our delivery bag. So we'll be delivering lots of them. We deliver thousands of them throughout the week, let's say, because our customers get replaced at every time.
So every day I would get one of those.
Yeah, or we do a lot of times, we do like every 2 days, let's say. We'll give you 2 days worth of meals, and then we'll come back, pick up your old
put it in the
bag.
fridge, and all you need to do is sometimes to heat it up, or of course breakfast.
Absolutely. A lot of people bring this to work. They bring it to their if they're working in schools or offices, things like that. So we often get a picture. There's an office and there's just FittMeals bags piled high up on the wall, which is great to see.
How does it make you feel?
Great. I love seeing that. It's great just to see the bags there and know that people are using our product and getting value out of our product. That's a big thing. I want people to get value out of our product, and that's another big thing with meal prep. A lot of time, with food waste and that, with all best intentions, we buy our food and we try and use it in that, and then work gets in the way, life gets in the way, kids, everything, And all of a sudden you're throwing out food at the end of the week. And that drives me crazy. Inefficiency drives me crazy. So here, there is no room for inefficiency, what you get, you eat. And,
so
it's great.
It's really calculated based on your needs. I really love the box, but just so that we can see each other better. Larry, thank you. So it's really quite interesting. But let's go back now that we understood what you are offering today. How did it really start? So you were in this game. Did you have the pain point to not eating healthy, to throw away food because you didn't have time to cook it maybe, or to use it?
Yeah.
What was your main reason to start this company?
I could lie to you and tell you I had a huge vision of having 1,500 customers. I don't know, does anyone maybe think in that scale, and maybe I should do. But when I started, I literally thought FittMeals would be, a really high quality, very driven from business to customer service, that we could offer people something that's not in the market already. And what I've learned, that if you offer someone that's not in the market already, that's a very good quality and a good price point, it will scale. It will absolutely scale. So when we started out, we had a very, very small team. We used a kitchen at night that wasn't being used. We've bootstrapped all the way. So had to find a way to make it work at every turn. Yes. And then from then it grew. We were out in Sharjah, using the kitchen at night. And then we made the move in mid 2021. After 18 months, it was blowing up on us. And we're like, we need to get a real proper central commercial kitchen here. So we moved to Al Quoz, and the plan was to stay there forever. And now we have to move again because, numbers have increased again. So nice. That's the next big chapter of our journey. And
when you started the company, what was the biggest challenge? Was there any challenges? Because I know also now in the Middle East, or now specifically in Dubai, sometimes the regulation when it comes now also to food and beverage, they have certain standards they need to ensure. How was it for you?
Two parts of the biggest challenge. The first one, I was still doing my full-time job.
Yes.
I'm afraid sometimes when I hear people say, I'm going to start my business and just give up everything and go at it, you need to road test things. You really need to road test things. Mm-hmm. It's a really brave move to do that. And I know, fair play, you have more courage than I do. But if your business is good, it should be simple. It should be offering value, and you should be able to road test that in some shape or format before you decide just to go off and leave your job, let's say. Second part then, as you said, regularity here in Dubai. To be fair, Dubai, they have really high standards on food safety and quality. So obviously we were using a different kitchen in Sharjah. When we came to Dubai, it was all our own kitchen. It was FittMeals kitchen, and you are on the hook for everything. And I actually, standards are there to improve you. And some people look at the food safety things, they're very pedantic. They're very, very down, there's black and white, there's no gray areas. And I found it to be really good for us because it helps us to absolutely make sure our standards are the very top. So when we first went in there, we got an A rating, which was fantastic, which was great. But they would always tell you where you can improve these areas and things like that. And this year we got a golden A, which is the very top.
Amazing.
And for a central kitchen, for us, that's huge. We're not a small kitchen. It's a big kitchen. There's a lot of touch points, a lot of area, a lot of square footage.
How many chefs do you have and cooking?
We've a team of about 20 guys just cooking, prepping and cooking, let's say. And then we've as many guys portioning. So that's a big thing for us. We are calorie counted, and we make sure that everything that goes into your meal is weighed. It's not just that we get a chicken curry rice and go bang, bang, bang. Yes. We weigh everything out so that, what we say you're getting on the box, you get on the box. A lot of plant bean plans don't do that. A lot do. But for us, we have huge emphasis and a huge spend on our portioning to make sure that that's correct. Because there are customers who will take it out and say, listen, I think that's wrong. And we've gone to them, actually, if you look at it, it's right. Or, so like we want to stand behind that. Nice. That's a big thing too. You need to stand behind your brand and stand behind your quality.
So high quality, high standards.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
And for our portioners, our KPIs are really strong in that. Yeah. We'll have random weighing tests of all the meals. We'll deconstruct the meal that's already been done to make sure that, everything is on point. And it's a challenge between ourselves. It's a promise between us, our portioners and ourselves. Nice. Our quality is going to be up there.
Absolutely. So interesting. So basically at the beginning you said, okay, there have been some challenges with the, what was the setup, or what was really the main challenge that you can say you had at the beginning? Finding staff, having setup, finding the finances? Definitely. How did you invest? Like, it's fully bootstrapped?
Fully bootstrapped, yeah.
Respect for that, yeah.
So definitely when we moved into the current facility we're in now, we had to do that in phases. You know? So we had to get the kitchen up and running and functional, because you can't operate without a kitchen, or, Dubai municipality will shut you down. So then, our office was pretty bleak. We don't have a very, didn't have a very fancy big office. Our staff will probably tell you we still don't have a very fancy big office, but it's about cutting your cloth and going, right, we can't afford this right now. We can't afford this right now. What's the minimum we need to get functional, to get to the quality of standards we need without taking investment, by bootstrapping this and making sure that we have everyone we need in a close, tight quarter driving this business on. It would have been great. It'd been very easy to go and take investment, and go, listen, bells and whistles. I want the best kitchen in Dubai. I want this, that, and the other. Let's spend a couple of million on that. And then you're paying that back and under a lot of pressure. You're probably building a facility that's too big for the company at that time. So, we took 3 years to fit out the facility we're currently in, thinking it would last us for 10 years. But I said, we didn't think big enough. So that's our next major challenge now.
But you also believe that the company need to grow with the market, basically, right?
Absolutely.
With the customer demand, with the customer base, etc. Yeah, interesting.
And even on that, when we started in 2020, I would say there was maybe 100 meal prep companies. Now there's 350 meal prep.
Wow. Okay.
Hugely competitive market. We're talking some of them as, they're the big ones, and some are just ones working out from restaurants. But still, they're all competitors.
Yeah.
So, we really have to stand out there. And I said, grow with the market, and make sure that we have that behind us. We don't have millions in the bank that we can fall back on. Everything we make in FittMeals, we invest. We buy a van, or we buy a blast chiller, or we build another chiller room, or so on and so forth. So that is challenging. And the same with staff. Sometimes we can't afford to get the staff we really want or need at this point in time. We're going to say, listen, 6 months time, we'll be able to get this person. Right now, we're just not there cash flow wise, but our numbers are increasing. And that's all about being a good CEO and projecting that and having a good capital allocation plan.
Yes.
Not just for assets, but for staff as well, because your staff are your biggest assets.
Mm-hmm.
They're huge. They're your biggest variable. If they perform unbelievably, your company's going to perform unbelievably, and vice versa. Machine is a machine. It's always going to perform the same way. So trying to really make your resources stretch to ensure that you're able to compete with demand, compete with the market, but also keep your quality at the highest.
So you would say the biggest asset of your company is your staff?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what did you do especially at the beginning? Because I still try to understand the beginning. To attract the first employees, because also people say the first employees are the most important one. Would you underline that?
Yeah, absolutely. And most of the staff that started with us are still with us and have grown hugely within the company.
Nice.
The biggest thing you need when you're starting, especially coming in entry level, you just need a really good attitude and a really good hardworking character. And we have some unbelievable staff with just great values, great character, a great hardworking attitude. And as you know, when you start in a company, sometimes you need everyone to do everything. Yeah, there's no one here who's a specialist at something. You could be packing boxes, and you could be going in delivering food. You could be doing any number of jobs. So you need someone to be very flexible and have a good attitude on that. So when we started, there was a lot of guys who worked with me previously who came with me. We did a good bit of hiring, let's say, referrals through them, who they know who are good people, and try and build it up that way. That works when you're starting. Mm-hmm. We don't need very specialist positions. We need bodies on the floor who can understand the company's values, the standards, the quality, etc., and get the work done. So I would think that hiring at the start was easier, whereas now in the position we are, we have to hire for very specialist roles.
Interesting. I hear sometimes differently. So what did you learn now from 0 employees to 100 employees about hiring? What can you tell us as entrepreneurs, as CEOs? What can we learn from you?
So a big thing, every entrepreneur, if you get to 100 staff, for me, I found the transition of us going from a company with 30 to 40 staff to a company with 70, 80 staff really difficult. Because that's a different company. It's no longer the company that we started where we're all working together in one little office. We all know each other.
Yeah.
We all have touch points on each other's parts, especially as CEO, and that, that's not possible in with 70, 80 people. Also, the way we work, our meetings, our cadences, that doesn't work either. So, last year we had to do a lot of work on trying to change how we worked and, put in a lot of scaling up philosophies with meeting cadences, with huddles, getting our priorities, getting our KPIs really down. And that's hard with some staff, because some staff love the early stage and it's like, we're all here together in one big room, and then we have to specialize out. So when we specialize out and start, focusing on certain departments, I say, listen, Michael, I need you to focus on this department only. Before, you are a generalist and used to do X, Y, and Z and everything. This is your strength. This is where I need you to be. Then when we're hiring for those sort of positions, we need to be really specific about what we need.
Right.
For example, if we, when we were 2013, we needed someone in the office, we're looking for someone maybe for admin, good Excel skills, etc., etc. Right now, if I'm looking for someone in the office, they need to have really good software skills. They may need to have some sort of AI background. They need to have some graphic. They need to have really specific skills for the role. So our hiring methods have changed hugely. It's no longer that we can say, hey, Michael, do you know anyone good? Bring them in. We now have a really robust hiring system where people have to go through a lot of stages to join our team. And I'm very, very conscious of that with our team. I always tell them, be very particular about who you take in here. Because they need to add value.
Yeah. So I learned now from you that from the beginning to now, so later on, it was more difficult for you to hire, to find the right people, because it was also more specific.
Exactly.
And what about now, let's say, what for learnings can we take? Were you more hiring at the beginning based on values or on, motivation and so on, and now more on skills, or what? Is that the case?
Yeah, that's absolutely it in a nutshell. So, I said, if you walked into FittMeals 2 or 3 years ago, everyone was doing everything,
Right.
It's the
this guy's motivated. Bring him on. Okay.
Exactly. Now, we're very specialized and focused on what we do. And, everyone has their job scorecard. They know what to do. A lot of people found that really tough. And that was a really big transition point, because we had to change the whole company, how we worked. And it's a difficult thing too with staff sometimes, because obviously they look, our numbers are growing, everything's going well. Well, why change this? This doesn't work. But you need to see that there's a disconnect in some parts.
And I think also as a CEO, you need to see, hey, to reach now the next level, I need to already be on the next level and pull the organization there, right?
Absolutely.
And to do things differently. Yeah,
absolutely. And you need to see that. So that's at the start. What's the DNA of a CEO? You need to have a real vision on that. You need to have a real strategy on that to see, that you're building a team, not just a team of good people, but good individual departments who can connect together. So that's hugely important. So now when we're hiring someone, there's a lot of emphasis on their experience, their skills, their culture, all those things.
So how many steps do you have when you hire? So your first touch point is your HR department, I assume?
Yeah.
Then checking on values and so on. The next step would be?
Yeah, so it'll be different for each department. For example, if we're hiring a driver, I mean, one of those has to be his driving skills.
Yes.
Obviously. So the first thing we'll do, obviously, the HR team will take in applications. We'll send out assessment tests. The assessment test for drivers is going to be much different than an assessment test for an accountant, let's say. So we'll get a basic score back from those assessment tests. It'll be proficiency, maybe in English, proficiency in problem solving skills, because a delivery driver, you're going to face different things. If they get past that, then, they'll be brought into a first round of an interview with the driving supervisor, and they'll be brought for maybe a test drive to see, what are their basic skills, let's say. Then they'll be brought in for another interview with HR and things like that, and then brought maybe for a more intense maybe training on our driving to see if they're up to the scratch, able to hit our KPIs, if they have the safety standards that we need. So there's a lot of different things.
Steps, yeah.
3 years ago, you can drive, you're hired, let's go,
Yeah, good.
Now that's changed, because we need to be, if we want to raise the bar, it's like, if you raise the bottom, the top will rise. So we need to have the best standard people walking into.
Yeah, very interesting. I think we can also translate that a little bit, like when you do a certain kind of sport where you say, okay, at the beginning, I do the basic training and so on, and then you go more specialized on your training, on your eating, on your sleeping behavior, that you start tracking how much you sleep and like to really go into details.
Yeah,
nice.
and sport can be a really good analogy sometimes, because you're only as strong as your weakest player, you know?
Right.
So if we, our delivery team are unbelievable. They really are. All of our teams, to be honest, work at a really high standard. But I always say to our delivery team, we can make the best food in the world. We could sell it for the cheapest price in the world. We could have the best quality in the world. We could have the most customers. If you can't get it to them, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, you know, if any department fails or falls, it'll have a huge impact on
Absolutely. Now I can just underline it also. In our company, I always point out, like, every touch point with the customer is so essential to be at the best. And as you said, we're only as strong as the weakest link.
Yeah.
You founded FittMeals to bridge the gap in healthy eating. On a personal level, what is the deeper purpose that tries to build this company? Maybe also beyond, let's say, business KPIs.
Yeah, for me, as I said, when we first started, we had 9 customers. We guys in just, packing boxes for us.
Right.
Some of those guys now are coordinators, supervisors. They had very little education. We're so lucky the education we've been offered in Germany and Ireland, things like that. Some guys come from places they're not get the same opportunities. I love seeing a staff member surprise me. I love seeing them wow me and go, wow, this guy was packing boxes 2 years ago. Now he's coordinating schedules. He's adding to, maybe strategy targets, things like that. He's growing with the company, or she's growing with the company. That gives me it gives me great pride, to be honest, to see them growing. We do try and offer a lot of education with our staff as well. To try, especially if those that haven't had the opportunities to get them, maybe to get them course related
information,
job related courses or degrees or things like that. So we do try and push that forward, even if it's just reading the book, Michael, and just saying, listen, this book is really specific to the role you're in. You could gain so much out of this. So driving that forward staff wise.
I think it's interesting, because I think you're also the role model for that. I mean, we both now last time met at the CEO Summit at Harvard University. And so you yourself was there. We were sitting in a bench, listening to some guy talking about AI and the business. So I think you really have this inside you as well to always strive to learn more and to see how can I take things to the next level. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And to percolate that down to the staff, to go, like, you need to stay learning. You know, like we have a library in our our staff room, our staff canteen area, let's say.
Yes.
And like there's loads of books there on HR, on food processes, on financials, all those different things.
And so, your colleagues, your team is actually also picking them up and using
in there. Our HR has a PD goal, I think, of like maybe 240 hours a quarter that staff have to do on training. I use a scaling up coach, Brian Keegan, and he's saying, like, if you can get your staff to operate at 10% higher through education, that's like hiring, for me, it's like hiring 10 staff.
Yeah.
But as a company, I don't have to pay 10 extra staff.
True. Good point. Maybe just to explain, scaling up is a method originally also founded by Van Harnisch, and we both had the pleasure to meet him.
Yeah.
Also my podcast, by the way. And it's just a very detailed method to implement in a company, I would say, to really scale it up. How would you explain it?
Yeah, for me, it gave me a really good framework to bring the company from 50, 60 staff to 90, 100 staff.
So when did you start it with this new framework?
I started just over a year ago.
Okay.
I remember picking up the book and going, oh my God, I have so much work ahead of me.
Okay.
Because it was overwhelming at the start, because it's really detailed, it's really focused, and it gives you a lot of insights for me, especially strategy, to get our strategy right. I mean, our strategy was on the fly before. It was like, let's go here, let's do this. Now it's really focused, it's really thought out, it's really mapped. We can see where we want to be in 3 years and 5 years. We know what we need to get done in the next quarter. We had 4 priorities for the last quarter that we absolutely did really well on. It was, it was the first time that we'd really focused in on them, and the staff really saw this is working. Also our meeting cadences and that. So, we do a huddle every employee's in a huddle every day.
What's a huddle?
So it's
you need to explain
it's
it,
a 10-minute meeting
yeah.
where your team gets together and you just give a very quick action point on what's up, what are you doing, what did you do yesterday, what do you plan to do today, what is your top priority for today, what are you not leaving the office until you get done.
So quick check in who is doing what, and to be informed, basically, to know that where's the team going together.
We actually use the Align software as well, the scaling up software. So then all our meetings are tracked, and we can see what people said they were going to do. Are they going to do it? It's part of our core values. We're accountable was one of our core values. So it really changed. That was one of the big things I said that really changed how we worked. All of a sudden, it was very hard to get that across to staff sometimes. And, I hope now they really do realize it, that it was for us to stop becoming a company with 60 staff and be ready to go to 100. But not only that, Michael, to be ready to go to 200. That we have the framework, the foundations in place. We have a good meeting cadence. We have a good strategy. We've good KPIs, reasonable KPIs that are you can influence to hit and that are challenging enough to grow the company. All those things. We have good metrics in the company. We analyze our data. We analyze our ways of working to get there. So it was a huge framework to offer us on that, and we're still implementing it. And we'll always be implementing it. Forever.
It will never be ready.
It will. Yeah, it will never be finished.
That's so nice that I think business is infinited. How do I say it?
Infinity, perpetual.
It's ongoing. So I think that's so nice. It's not like a sport game where after 90 minutes the soccer game is over. Okay, sometimes you have an extension, but it's just like it's really the infinite game.
Of course, and it gives our staff too a good routine, a good framework. And there's theories of thought too. If your staff are good enough, let them out and they'll do whatever. You need to give staff freedom, obviously, to innovate, to be ambitious, but you need to give them a framework also. Their foundation framework, so that they can grow on that. Before I would have been guilty of this, of hiring someone and literally going, do the job. I'll come back to you in a week. Let me know how things are going. Like everything, just everyone's busy. The first time I hired a HR person, listen, can you just look at this, this, and this, and I'll come back to you in a week. And there's no set framework there. And it's even now it sounds stupid that you would do that, but when you're busy and you're trying to get a bloody company up and running and you're trying to get sales out the door, you don't stop to think about what framework is there for your staff. So to get that in,
So I think one important learning for all listeners is that define a framework, whether just by yourself, how you see it. I think at the beginning you can do it. Get a framework like scaling up or so many other as option as well. Or also on the other option, get a coach in from the sideline who tells you you should focus on that and that. Looking back at your journey now, FittMeals, right? We talked now about the beginning, then also the scaling process. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give your younger self looking back? What would you have done differently, maybe?
One thing I would have wished I had done differently was actually be a lot more, put the roadmap into getting staff in, the hiring methods in much quicker. I mean, if you can hire unbelievable staff, it's huge for us. And we're very lucky in Dubai. There's a lot of staff available and it's free movement, free market. I would have put in a more robust hiring system, because obviously people walk in the door, start working, the hire, then they're there, and then we're all up in the air then if they're good staff or if they're not suited to the values or the culture or things like that. So I would have put in a lot more of a robust system there. I would have loved to have read the Scaling Up book a couple of years earlier so that you can start with that framework, because trying to implement a new framework, especially in a company that's growing and doing well, is really tough. Mm-hmm. You're saying, I know you did this for the last 3 years, but I'm going to change it. It's really hard to get that across, and educating staff on that is tough. To be fair, our staff have been brilliant, and as I said, they absolutely smashed the priorities out of the park last quarter and that. But it's been a really tough transition period, because we need to grow. You either grow or you die. But obviously, we're trying to implement a whole new system of how we work. So I would have got a coach probably earlier. I don't see myself ever not having a coach. I don't see the point of the top elite sports stars in the world have coaches.
Tiger Woods in golf has a sport. Every Formula One driver has a coach, yeah.
So I would have got a coach earlier. That would have saved me a lot of time and pain and give me a lot of pointers and feedback. So on a business level, yeah, that would be it. A more robust hiring, get a coach in and a framework. If you're starting a business now, I'd love to talk to you and say, listen, this is a good framework.
Good point, yeah.
You can grow to 1,000 staff using this.
Nice. I like that a lot. I even believe like in a peer group, even like a coaching group, then you have peers. I do that for myself, for my business, to have people who kind of want to go in the same direction and to just talk and see how can we learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's good. So when we talk now about the capabilities of your company, and when you think about it a bit deeper, like we know now McDonald's is more real estate business, or they make more money with real estate. Domino Pizza is a traditional e-commerce company that happens to sell, pizza. Harley Davidson is a community business. They're very old motorbikes, as we know, loud and so on, but they're more building the community. People get a tattoo of Harley Davidson, but not about Yamaha or I don't know, so what capabilities, where is your company? What is your really capability, your core of your business? That's really what we master.
Yeah, an interesting thing in Cambridge, remember the guy VJ gave about digitalizing your product?
Yes.
Like, how do you digitalize food? We eat food and that, but he made a good point. How do you digitalize a car? And we digitalized cars. But obviously in our food and that, and this is where I see the food industry going. We're not anywhere near this level yet, but where I see the food industry going, and like Dr. David Sinclair, we had a talk with that day as well, is really individualizing your food needs. And no one out there is really doing that at the moment, unless you're at a very, very high, rich level. So all our bodies are different. I'm not a nutritionist, by the way, but all our bodies react differently to different foods and might need different foods, for certain times in your life and things like that. Dr. Dave Sinclair takes these biomarkers every quarter, and then he adjusts his diet as per that. It makes sense. Now, you need money to do that. But as we know, anything that's very expensive in time becomes accessible as automations and efficiency comes along. I would love for the food industry, and not just FittMeals, I'd love for us to be a part of that, to really be a part of, I'm not going down the line of food curing disease or anything, that's not possible, but it can certainly help prevent a lot of diseases. And before it becomes something, and that we're eating the right nutrients for our specific body, that we can test ourselves and see, right, Michael, you're doing really well, your biomarkers are really good here, that nutrition, that plan is doing well for you. Or Michael, John, we're a bit down on this vitamin here, we're going to put more of this in here. That's really individualized. It's expensive at the moment. It's very expensive. That's where I'd love to see the food industry going. I'd love to see FittMeals getting to that level. And that's how we can digitalize the food industry. Yes. We already wear these. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Tracking.
We have our exercise down to a T. Yeah. For FittMeals, you can scan it into MyFitnessPal. We know our calories, we know our macros, our carbs, things like that. What about a deeper level of understanding of that, about what food is actually doing for you, what nutrients it's actually offering you. What are you missing? What do you need more of? As every body individually is different. So I would love for us to really get into that conversation. I think it's fascinating.
So it's going more also to be a nutrition company, because also you told me you focus so much on making sure the right amounts of food will be delivered. Yeah. So it's really exactly. How do you balance innovation in your company to ensure, the current standards and the current approach, but on the other hand, also to motivate your colleagues, yourself to, think big, be the innovator, be the rebel. How do you balance that?
So we just recently, we kind of drip feeding it along, and one of our last priorities last year was education and connection. Big thing on that was actually educating our staff on how the business runs financially, not just process wise, but financially also. So we started drip feeding how certain finances work, how certain department finances work, and now we operate a full open book policy. So what that means, if anyone doesn't understand, is that everyone in the company knows the finances of the company. Every Tuesday morning, we'll stand up in the office. We have a quick 30-minute meeting. 15 minutes is spent on the KPIs, seeing where we stand. 50 minutes is on our P&L, and we forecast the month's P&L. Everyone has a line. Not everyone has a line. Every line has a person accountable for it, and they will forecast that line. So our staff will see what profits we are hoping to make this month, and then 10% of those profits are split between the staff equally. Not as per your hierarchy, not as per your responsibility, equally. The person who is chopping vegetables for us is getting the same as me. So we split that equally. So our big thing is that, you have the keys to the company here. If you can innovate, if you can be more efficient in processes, if you can bring in new products, if you can bring in new business lines, if you can find a way to lower cost of sales, that is huge for us. And actually, the only way to really show people that and get them to understand it is by showing them the numbers. It's very hard for me to go in and tell a guy who's chopping carrots, like, if you're more efficient here, it's going to be huge for us.
Right.
If you're not throwing half that in the bin, it's going to be huge for us. But it's just a word. It's just numbers. It's a sentence coming from someone. If I can show them the figures and go, look, if your wastage percentage here goes down, this is what happens here. This is what happens on the bottom line. This money goes into your pocket.
And they really feel it, because 10% of the goes directly back to the employees.
Yeah. So we've done that from day one. We did it differently. We had a closed book. We kind of gave them an overview maybe of what that.
So how big is that meeting then? When you have all the 100 people are there?
No. So it'll be all the department leads.
Yeah. How many?
We'll have maybe 20 people.
All right.
Yeah. But it's their job then to go down and tell people how we're performing.
In their teams, in the departments. Nice.
What helps with that is our meeting cadences, our huddles, our daily meetings, our weekly meetings, our monthly meetings. So all that information, flows. We have everyone has a daily huddle. So everyone, our department leads will be telling their supervisors will be telling their department team, or so on and so forth.
Daily huddles, to translate for the non-scaling up method colleagues, is basically to have a daily meeting explaining or check in what they're doing, what you're not doing. Great. I think that's really, really interesting about talking about innovation, because I think it's such an art as a CEO to really ensure you focus on today's work, today's operation, business excellence, to focus and make things operation excellence, to make things better today, but also tomorrow, right? How can you lead innovation? How can you be the rebel in the industry? How can you revolutionize yourself again? How can you,
Absolutely.
I think that's interesting.
And innovation is a huge part of, being a CEO, or let's say our COO, Levi, she's been with us since day one. She's brilliant at innovation and trying to bring in new products, new ideas, things like that. But it's really hard to be creative when you're so busy. So two things we're doing, and we spoke about it, we're trying to bring in someone on new product development who focuses solely on new products. Something maybe that's not available in Dubai, or some different thing, or maybe we can tweak our own product. So we're offering something different. We're making meals. We can make them the best standard in the world or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm not making some massive new product that no one has ever seen before.
Right.
So we have to be really innovative with that and try and see how can we change it? How can we offer a different offering to the customer? What about add-ons? Is there anything we can add on with this, with this meal that can offer value to the customer? So that's a huge part of new product development. Can we improve meals? All that kind of innovation. Next level, can we digitalize? Can we really bring that? That's huge. And then a part of that also, we're trying to, at the moment, trying to hire someone who has some expertise in AI to get us, in there to digitalize our processes, digitalize how we work. And also, if what I said earlier about being our biomarkers, things like that, AI is going to have a huge, huge impact.
For sure. So scaling is for you about new product to increase the product portfolio, but is it also a regional? So where are you going after Dubai?
So right now, our
UAE.
Our biggest problem is capacity. So just recently on Tuesday, we got the keys to a new warehouse in DIC. Nice. That's going to be huge for us.
DIC, help us for the international listeners.
Dubai Industrial City.
Yes.
So that is located also between Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So we deliver to all UAE. So it's a really good strategic position for us. We can get to our Abu Dhabi customers, we get to our Dubai customers, but also on that, with innovation, you can't innovate if you don't have space. I'm always trying to get like, can we bring this product in? We're like, we don't have space to put that product in. We can't even put it on our production.
So you're on
shelf.
a break sometimes with the innovating.
Yeah. So, at the moment where we're at it's really tough to innovate because we're just, space is really tough for us at the moment. We're probably 3 times the size of what we thought would be the capacity in the warehouse we are. So that'll tell you we're working on each other's shoulders at the moment. And obviously regulatory wise, we have to stay absolutely at top level with food safety and things like that. So moving to this warehouse is going to be absolutely huge for us. We can have innovation kitchen, we research and development center there, and really, really try and push that. So that's going to be massive for us to have the capacity to do it. Then obviously that's UAE. We'd love to also get into Saudi, the other Gulf countries, things like that. For me though, I want to get this new facility up and running in the UAE. I want to get our framework, I won't say bulletproof, no such thing, but I want to get it really solid. We're only maybe 6 to 12 months into that. I want to get that, that when people walk in the door, it's just back of their mind. It's muscle memory. They know when they're meeting. They know their priorities. They know their KPIs. They know their metrics. They know their job scorecards. They know their roles, their positions, those things that we're absolutely clean on that.
So I hear a lot of ambition, to drive the business even further. I hear a lot of also structures in the business. What you implement, I think also before from your knowledge, for people who are thinking, should I start a business or not? I understood you really, a big advocate to say, first stay in your business, do your MVP, your minimal viable product or solution, and offer it first while you're still working. See, is there product market fit to then later bring it out. Then on the road, you also raised a family or have a family, 2 kids.
Yeah, so I'm married. I've 2 young boys, 20 months and 3 months. So scaling with toddlers is tough.
Tell us about it. So what can we learn as CEOs? Maybe some of them do not have kids yet and want to have kids. So what would you say? Guys, get it as soon as you can, wait, or is that perfect time?
For me, I'm really lucky. I genuinely, my wife is so great. She's, she really supports me. She understands sometimes that I have to be away, like time we're in Boston and things like that. And I have to learn. I have to try and, put myself in. I've tried and put myself in the best position for our staff and our company so that we're not letting down. However, I also have to be a husband and a father and things like that. I genuinely think if you're going to get to that position, especially if you're in a company with 100 staff, you need a really good team around you. For example, in first year in FittMeals, my phone would be going 100 times a day. I'd be getting phone calls of drivers, of portioners, of everyone and anyone. Now, we have a really good communication structure, especially with our daily huddles and that. We have a really good framework there. I don't get many phone calls from our staff anymore. They know what they're doing. They're in charge of their departments. I'm taken out of a lot of the day-to-day running of the company, and I can focus on the bigger picture there. If I can focus on the bigger picture, that means I can do that work when and if it's needed. Sorry, not when it's needed. Yeah. I can do it when and if I need to do it. So that gives me a bit of freedom. So, if we do have a bad night, some of the children are sick or things like that, I can try and be a bit flexible with my work and, maybe get it done later, things like that. What you don't need as a CEO or as a leader of a company is young kids and be in the day-to-day operations of something, because you're very highly dependent. Sorry, the company's very highly dependent on you then. And that's an issue, because you're not going to be able to do both. You can't be fully present with your children and your family and your wife and that, and have a touch point on every part of your company.
So what did you recommend? To do a clear role division with your wife and yourself, and what would you do? And when you spend time with your family, what do you do then? Is it really that you then say, I'm fully there, or do you still accept phone calls from the business?
No, I've 2 phones. I have one work phone, one personal phone. And basically the work phone just goes into the office, closed, goodbye. Obviously, people have my personal number if there's an emergency or not. It's very rare I get a phone call.
The personal is always on?
Personal is always on.
Do you have your personal number or your business number?
Good question. Yeah, so that's the way I kind of split it, and I try. I'm not saying I'm always 100% present. As an owner, it's very hard. Sometimes your best ideas about your company is when you're not thinking about your company.
Correct.
If that makes sense. You're walking around, you're like, why didn't I think
this
of that?
How we do it.
That's brilliant.
True.
We should do it this way. Some of my best strategic decisions have been in the shower.
Yes. Yeah. True. Sometimes it's special moments.
Yeah, exactly. So you do have to try and separate that. I genuinely think I am lucky. I'm genuinely blessed on two fronts, that I have a really good team that I trust, that I depend on, that I can depend on. And, they could run the company without me in the morning, which is really important as a CEO. They should be able to run the company without you. Otherwise, you're not really doing a great job. And then obviously I have great support from my wife. She's just brilliant with our two boys. She's fantastic. And, you get to really try and separate that and enjoy the family life, and also enjoy your work life.
Yeah, for sure. So you think even that you run a business, you should still, of course, make time for your family. That's part, and also for your personal hobbies?
Yeah,
Do you still have some personal hobbies as an entrepreneur?
Not as much as I used to. It is difficult with two really young kids, especially...
Your family becomes kind of also your hobby, and I think...
It does. I'm big into sport and that. I don't play anymore, let's say, but I do make time for myself in the morning. 5:30, I try and go to the gym. I mean, 90%, I won't say I always make it, although our 3-month-old thinks...
So 5:30 is your...
That's my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my hour. I get in, then I come home, I try and help out as best I can, then I go to work, and then the weekends I just try and literally just
before
close
the
them
family.
off. Yeah. I'm lucky enough too, I get to leave the office 4:30, 5 o'clock, let's say, in at 8, try and get out there and go home, then spend some time with them, do bath time, stories, all that. So I genuinely think I've a good balance.
And then going back to do still some work on a laptop?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you know what? I'm probably worse for thinking about the business more so than actually doing stuff on the laptop after hours. I'll be reading a book about business, I'll be thinking about it or things like that, then I'll email myself a note, just to say, this is a really good idea, this is what we need to do, we did this wrong yesterday, things like that. So sometimes that's where I be working overtime.
So is business more about the good ideas or about the implementation?
Both, isn't it? I mean, everyone has great ideas. Actioning is everything.
Okay, so what would be more important?
Actioning.
To actually do the ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm actually the same. I think like every day I get, I don't know, so many good ideas from stuff, and I always enable them. I say that's wonderful, but would you also feel confident to implement it, right? And then you really see the drive, and some of the ideas really then later shine, and it's great to see them in action. But some of them are just good ideas. But
sometimes I have a document I call shelf.
Okay.
And I put them in there. I put them on the shelf.
Yeah.
And it's just like, listen, this is a great idea, but we're nowhere near there. We're nowhere near there.
That could also be.
So I'm putting it on the shelf. I'll come back to it later. And then it's out of my head. It's there. I can come back to it when I want to. Sometimes they're not even FittMeals related ideas. I'm sure you have them too, all the time. So I'm going, listen, I'm too involved in this right now, but that's where that's going. If I have a FittMeals related idea, I have a strategy document every month. I will put it in there. And then for us, what I like to do, one of our core values is connected with our staff. So I will send them a survey every 3 months, every quarter. And, I'll ask them for marketing input, for sales input, for strategy input. I will take all that information up, and then I will kind of summarize it. And then we'll have a quarterly meeting with our department leads, and we'll all decide together our strategy, let's say. So if I have like an idea or something like that, I'll pop it into that document, and then we'll bring it together quarterly. Then, as you know, we try and focus on maybe 3 to 4 priorities, 3 to 4 big things you want to get done in that quarter. Because, and again, when you're starting a company, you try and focus on 20 different things. It's impossible. So it's just about having that structure there and having that framework so that, when you do have an idea, you can put it in there and maybe even take some time, let it sit for a while, come back to it. We probably move too fast sometimes as entrepreneurs. This needs to be done now. It needs to be done now. So, if even you let it sit there in a document and come back to it in 3-4 weeks' time and go, right, we're going to do this. I'm going to discuss the department leads. Let's get an action plan in place. Let's make it one of our priorities for the next quarter.
For sure. I think so strongly that we entrepreneurs too often overestimate what we can do in 1 year and really underestimate what we can do in 10 years.
Yeah.
So FittMeals, January 2020, it started. Where is FittMeals in January 2030? Where do we go in the future?
Good question. So I would love to at least 4 times, if not 5 times, our customer numbers at the moment. That might be extensions onto FittMeals.
Still in UAE or
just speaking in
UCC?
UAE.
Yeah, okay.
I do think there's huge room for growth there. A big thing with meal plans at the moment, not at the moment, but in general, is that a lot of people still don't trust meal plans. It's still not mommy's home cooking. So I think there's a huge market out there that's still untapped on meal plans. People who still haven't tried it, who still, think, it can't be great. It's a meal plan, but genuinely, we take such great care of our food. And fair, there's great meal plans out there that do the same thing. I think that's going to be a huge shift. That we're, I would say we're only utilizing 20-30% of the market at the moment of our possible customers. That is going to change,
So more customers for sure. Do you think also in the future we have, I don't know, food where we only have a certain amount of pills, we take it, and then we have all our nutrition?
Hope not. That'd be very boring eating, wouldn't it? Food is about experience as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're very sociable in this city. We meet in groups, we meet in staff rooms, we meet in that. 50% of our new customers come from word of mouth. That's huge. It's massive. That's free. Well, nothing's free, but if you give good quality, good customer service, things like that, that's massive. So I genuinely think it, food is very social. It should be very social. And it's great to come together. And I know a lot of people that get FittMeals go, oh, what did you get today? Oh, I got this. Oh, I had that last week. It was great, So it's a good conversation topic in staff rooms. And then, hopefully people go, oh, what are you eating? I've never seen this before.
I need to text them to have it also in my box next
Let's
time.
Let's go, let's say. So I would hope, I'm not interested, I would hope that food goes down the line where I said that, we can use our biomarkers and things like that to see what we need. Because food, we should be eating food. Food has everything we need. Another big part of food, obviously, is the circular food economy. That's another huge thing. Would take another podcast to go into. But something I'm really big on too is trying to be being as efficient as we can with our food and our suppliers as well, and where they get their food from. Us eating, bananas that are 6,000 kilometers away probably isn't the most efficient thing in the world. Is there a way we can do that better?
Yeah.
Do we maybe limit some certain foods we eat so that we're eating stuff that's sourced more locally to us?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So many input and insights. I learned so much. I learned food is here to stay.
Hopefully.
Food is here to be socialized. It's also about the food chain, food sourcing, and so on. But also so many business insights from somebody who scaled the business from 0 to 100 employees. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.